Hey everybody, I'm Ryan, and I thought I'd talk to you today about some of my favorite fonts that people use when they put together their books. Now, I'm sorry, hold on a second. Hey, what's going on?
Blood for the blood god!
Yeah, right, but I'm doing a video, so can you just give me like 15 minutes?
Skulls for the skull throne!
Okay, well, what if instead I did a video for all of your ruiner gods and the demons that you serve?
Yeah, okay.
Alright, never mind folks, I'm going to talk about Warhammer. If you've been following us on social media, you'll know that very recently I got into the tabletop wargaming type things. At Gen Con I played Robotech and Malfo, and I really wanted to get into a Warhammer game, but it just didn't work out for me. So when we got back from Gen Con, I was still looking at what is it that I wanted to play. And ultimately, if you want to know how I landed on Warhammer, it's because it's the easiest thing to find other people and play with them. There's a couple of different comic shops in the area and meetups all the time where I could go and play either 40K or Sigmar. So that kind of helped make the decision for me. Plus, I really do like the models. All of the minis look really, really good. Ultimately, the reason why I went with 40K is because of our good friend Tucker. Tucker plays 40K, he plays the Necrons and the Space Wolves, and so I figured, well, if I need to choose between Sigmar and 40K, I'm going to play something that I can talk to Tucker about, as well as play whenever he comes down or whenever I go up to Baltimore to see him. So that's how I landed on 40K, specifically when I decided to go ahead and play Warhammer. Now, as far as jumping into it, here's some of the things that I kind of think. And I want to start off with what is sometimes what keeps people from jumping into Warhammer, and that's the cost. There's no way around it. There's an entry barrier here with the cost for 40K. This is not a cheap hobby. So I finally went ahead and got the books as well as a starter kit of the Zeen-tch. And that's already cost me, let's see, 90 plus another, about 150 or so dollars. And I still can't even play. I don't have enough minis for an army, and I'm already 150 in deep. So that's really something to consider. If you're watching this video because it pops up because it's an intro to 40K, then that is something to consider. Along the side with cost, now there are ways of trying to get around that, or at least mitigating some of those costs. The minis come with data cards, meaning a lot of the information that you need to know. So maybe you can put off getting a hold of the codex for your army. And on the Games Workshop website, you can get a free copy of the core rules. So now you just need to find some minis. When it comes to the cost of the minis, honestly, I'm a little bit torn because I can find everything cheaper online than at my local gaming stores. But I also think it's very important to me to support my local gaming stores. I know a lot of the people that work at them or run them, and I want to support that. I want there to continue to be local gaming stores. But there's a lot of minis to buy. Ultimately, I got my pack of Zuh-Neetch and I got the core rulebook online because I was able to get them both for $20 cheaper than what I was able to find them in the store. I did go through and I picked up the book at the store. It was a little bit more affordable. And then the next day I also went in and dropped another $80 on a pair of clippers and some new paints and some new brushes and accoutrements so that when I start to paint my minis, they really can be elevated to a new level of mini painting. So I guess maybe I'm just trying to make myself feel better, or maybe I'm finding a reasonable way to balance the fact that you're going to be able to spend less money finding things online, but also, at least in my opinion, supporting your local comic shops and gaming shops is a really important thing to do. Your choice is ultimately up to you which direction you want to go. When it comes to accessibility, I do think that the 8th edition of 40K has done a lot for that, as well as Age of Sigmar. As I've talked to people, of course, there were some folks that didn't like the changes, but that's going to happen no matter what game you're talking about or what new edition there is. But as I talk to friends that have played across multiple editions over the years, 8th edition does seem to be pretty accessible. Some things have seemed to be simplified, and as I watch videos online of strategies and how to play and how to build an army, this seems to be something that's pretty quick and easy to pick up. Now, I will say that I did try to just stick with the free core rule book that you can download, and I had no idea what I was doing. I really didn't. And maybe that means that I wasn't able to figure it out very well, or I could have gone on to forums or just talked to people face to face to figure it out. I needed to get the book. Now, that being said, I love the core rule book. I'll talk about the books and the lore and all of the merchandise that goes into this in a second. But as far as accessibility goes, I think that it is a more accessible version of Warhammer, and that's a part of why I ultimately chose Warhammer. It seemed like something I was going to be able to pick up pretty well, and that the community is saying is more accessible to more people. And I think more people in your hobby is always a good thing. That's more people for you to play with, more people to interact with, more potential friends to make while you're at a tournament or just at a home game. There are so many factions and so many different minis and models to choose from. Ultimately, I've decided to go with the Chaos Demons, and specifically I'm building armies around Zeen-tch. One of the reasons that I went with Chaos Demons is a practical reason. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to play Sigmar or if I wanted to play 40K. Now, I'm not playing both because buying both means buying different sets of books. And like I was just saying, that's a bit of a financial commitment. But with my army of Chaos Demon folks, then I'll be able to play both in 40K and in Sigmar once I do get those books. It gives me a little bit more freedom and flexibility, and I don't have to buy a bunch of different minis to have different types of armies. Ultimately, I'm going to guess that I will have tons of different minis and be able to build lots of different factions armies, because that seems to be what happens to everybody that gets into 40K, which is absolutely cool. But I went with the Chaos Demons. One of the big reasons was, though, that I could have that army to focus on no matter which direction I wanted to go. Also, the minis are really flippin' cool. And that's a major thing to consider when you get into 40K. You're going to be spending so much time with these miniatures, assembling them, painting them, choosing them. And so if you don't like the mini, if you don't find it fun to put together, you don't like the colors, although you can really kind of go with whatever color scheme you want, I do suppose, or you just don't think that they're aesthetically pleasing, you don't like the look of them, you're probably not going to like playing with them nearly as much. I love the way that all of the different lore masters and flux masters and the screamers and the pink horrors, I love how these things look, and so that was also a big reason why I chose that faction of the Chaos Demons. Getting to the books, I'm having a great time reading through them. It's a little dry sometimes, and there's a lot of stuff in there. Mostly I'm reading through old battle report type things and timelines. But it's really neat. The lore is rich, and there's so much of it out there. And that's just from the 2 books that I do have. There's novels and all kinds of stuff out there that you could jump into. You could probably be a pretty big 40K fan without ever painting a single miniature or stepping into a single tournament. Just with the literature that's out there, there's enough to build a fandom, absolutely. Some of the things that are really helping me out as I get started with Warhammer is the Citadel app on my phone. It's really great. It is a way for me to know what paints I should be using for the different figurines that I have. Now, the app doesn't have all of the different models that I'll be using, but it does have something that's amazing even if you're not a 40K player, and that's a really great inventory and wish list for the different Citadel paints. We went through and we cataloged all of our paints just using the app because that's a really handy thing to have. It also has some really quick videos for different techniques such as edge highlights and adding in layers, base coating, terrain, so it might be worth the price of admission to download it just for that. And that price of admission is absolutely free, so there's really nothing to lose. Also, I have Battle Scribe. I've got that on my phone as well. It's a way for you to go through and build your different armies and detachments and all of that sort of thing so that you know how many points you'll be spending and what different types of units that you'll need, you want to purchase and pick up and have all of that. As well as it probably helps to speed up and streamline the process when you do get together with friends in order to go to war. The last major thing that's been helping me out is another YouTube channel, so go check them out. As soon as this video is done, head over to MiniWargaming. They've got some really great videos that introduce what 40K is, 8th edition in particular, different strategies, watching them play full-on rounds of combat and full-on skirmishes. It's a really great place to sort of just put a video on, look for something specific, or put on a longer video of theirs while you're painting up your army. I really think the folks over there are great. I'd been watching them for some of their painting tutorials already, and so now watching them specifically for their information on 40K has been wonderful. So that's the folks over the YouTube channel MiniWargaming. Go check them out and tell them that we sent you. And lastly, what am I looking forward to? Well, I'm really looking forward to the fact that Tucker is coming down and we are going to get to play. I don't know if I'll actually have a Chaos Demon army ready to go by then, but he's bringing both his Space Wolves and his Necrons, and so we'll get to play that way, and I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about picking up more of the different units and getting them painted. I'm really looking forward to learning some new painting techniques in order to make my armies really stand out and really look like they're ready to kick some ass, which of course they absolutely are. So yeah, I guess that sounds kind of silly. What am I looking forward to with this game? I'm looking forward to playing it. From the time you decide to start playing Warhammer to the time you start actually playing Warhammer might be a little bit longer. Then again, it might be really quick. Find a buddy that has a couple of different armies and go in, have them teach you how all of this works. Who knows, maybe you could be playing later that afternoon. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me as well. So I'm looking forward to getting deeper into this community. There's a lot of really great subreddits that are out there, other forums, my friends over at the different gaming shops, and hopefully hearing from you. How did you get into Warhammer? What do you think of the 8th edition? How do you decide to play between 40K and Sigmar, or do you play them both? And if you have any really great tips for how to build a Chaos Demon army focused on the Zuh-Neetch that will absolutely slaughter everyone out there, I can't wait to hear what you have for me down in the comments below. I want to give a huge thanks to everyone that helps make this channel possible. And really that means that I'm talking to you. All of the folks that come through here and watch the videos and like and comment and engage with us. That's absolutely amazing. And I do want to single out a few of them. That's Lainey and Joan, Sean, Bryce, and Arby. Thank you so much for your support, and if you want to join them and get some pretty cool perks in return, head over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/roll4initiative. Find a level that works for you and help us to continue to make videos, go to cons, bring you even more content at a higher level of quality. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to get notifications, because we do put out videos every Tuesday and Thursday, but we've got some pretty cool bonus videos that we throw out at a moment's notice, and I would hate for you to miss any of those. So until next time, I'm Ryan, this is Roll4Initiative, and thanks for watching. Big scary voices.
Big scary